Well, Puppy was always more theatrical, and Nails was just we just went for kind of hell bent aggression, and pretty much everybody that's ever been in the band got put in the hospital at one point or another. But yeah, the shows just kind of became more and more aggressive over time, and I don't know, it just kind of worked, and we got in a lot of trouble for doing it. I remember there was one show we were opening for Peter Murphy. Like the very first official Nails tour was us opening for Jesus and Mary Chain on Automatic. I think that was about '89, I'm thinking. And then we went right from that into Peter Murphy, and it was on the Deep tour, which, I mean, that's a great record. And yeah, we get in trouble because we always were wearing the cornstarch and stuff, and things got a little rough on stage, and I think a beer got thrown or spilt and it got on their guitars on one show. We almost got fired over it. They weren't all that cool with it. It took some time. it yeah. It wasn't always welcomed by some of the bands we played with at the time. But yeah, it just developed into this thing. I don't really know why. It wasn't anything conscious, to be honest. It just kind of grew into something, and then once you start having fun with it, it just kind of grows even more, and then you kind of get known for it, so then it just grows even more, We were always well received. I mean, the record came out originally in '89, I think it was. The first single was '88. Down in It was the first single, and either that was fall of '88 or spring of '89, and then the record I think was September of '89, if I'm remembering my dates well. And right from the get-go, I mean, the video was always played on 120 minutes, and then we did the Head Like a Hole video. But the record, didn't really take off until Lollapalooza. Up to that time, it was pretty underground. But anytime we'd open for anybody, we were so much more aggressive than bands like Jesus and Mary Chain and Peter Murphy, obviously, but just stylistically even. That, it was one of those, like, we were always kind of blowing the headliners off the stage, and we quickly became a headliner at a club level, like, even though the record hadn't really done much. And then, but it took a couple years, but that was back when you had a couple years, you were given 3 or 4 shots at a single on a first record. Nowadays, if your first single doesn't make it at radio in 48 hours, Interscope drops you, they've moved on to the Pussycat Dolls, and your career's over. It's like there's just no room for that kind of stuff anymore. But back then, it was more of artist development. The actual A&R existed. So they, we just kept touring and touring, and it was grassroots, and it was all based on word of mouth. Like, you got to see these guys at the live show. I mean, it was just it's insane, And we just grew and grew and grew, and eventually then record sales kind of caught up to what the shows were doing.